Hey guys, it's JStars360 here with number 9 on my list. Decided to go right ahead with it. So, Season 2 introduced an awesome villain, Azula. And then, 2 episodes later, she recruited some help for her team. Now, originally these two I called Azula and the Mean Girls, but then Rob came up with the title Tree of Awesomeness, but I digress. As the series went on, the 2 companions Azula had with her grew more and more interesting, and particularly in one episode of season 3, they really came true as like these wonderful, really well written characters. And hold on a second. Well written characters. Sorry. Well written characters. Which is why I've decided at number 9 to have May and Ty Lee. 2 characters whose names I didn't know at first, but the show was so good at helping develop them, especially in one episode of season 3, that I now can say their names with ease. I put these 2 together on the number 9 slot as opposed to having one above the others because I like them both equally. They both get equal amount of development, and they're always together. Like, it's very rare when on the show I'll just say Ty Lee or I'll just say May. Whenever I'm talking or thinking about Avatar, I always think of these 2 together. So it makes sense that I put them together. And these characters have a lot going for them. In addition to having a great design, which, for the most part, every character in Avatar has a really good design. But these 2 especially. Like, the outfits, the expressions, like everything about the way they're animated, dressed, and move reflects their personality. But that's not why I like them. They are awesome with cool abilities. Ty Lee with her chi blocking and May with her dagger throwing. It helps to show that, again, just because you have these bending powers, just because you don't have bending doesn't mean you suck. And these 2 are more than capable of outbending. Again, very much like Suki. Doesn't have bending yet, can fully handle herself. And again, strong female characters. Now, it would be awesome enough if they were just villains that helped out Azula. But the show went the extra mile and didn't make them evil. The show went out of its way to show that May and Ty Lee are not evil. They're perfectly normal kids, teenagers. And again, like in some case, and if it wasn't for the fact that there's and the only thing that kind of makes them evil is that they work for the Fire Nation. Even that's not evil. They're just fighting for the side they believe is right and with the person they believe is right. If they were in another nation, they would be friends with it. If they were on the Fire Nation, they'd probably be friends with Sokka, Katara, and Aang. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. But again, they only fight them because, they're supporting Azula. And you see that in the interactions between the characters. Like, when Ty Lee's fighting Sokka, there's this little banner between them. It's almost like Ty Lee almost feels sorry that she has to fight Sokka. I mean, she seems like a nice guy, and, she wants to kind of flirt with him, but, of course, they're on the dividing side. And I love that. It ties into the prejudice theme. That just because someone's from a different group than you doesn't mean that everyone in one group's the same. There are good and bad people in all the divisions. And May and Ty Lee show that not everyone in the Fire Nation is a bad guy. The people above, like Fire Lord Ozai and General Zhao, they're straight up evil. And Azula. But not everyone within the Fire Nation is necessarily thinks and acts the same way they do. And May and Ty Lee show that well. And again, they believe they're each other to be enemies, but we know the characters so well, particularly May and Ty Lee, that we know that they aren't evil any more than Sokka and Katara are evil. They're just fighting for the side they believe is right. Which, again, is a really great message to teach kids. And I also like how May and Ty Lee, they aren't just the sidekicks. They're actually really well-developed characters. They're teenagers that some people might even be able to relate to. And this really comes through in the beach episode, where, they're all pissed off and they're sitting around the campfire and they're just letting out all their pain that they've been carrying with them, all their their tragic backstory. Well, it's not really tragic, but everyone has baggage with them, and May and Tylee are no exception. And by laying it out, it shows that they are human. They are just like everyone else. They have shit that they deal with. And by doing that, it makes them relatable. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of teenagers girls who have gone through the stuff that May and Tylee have gone through. And again, that backstory, while it's not needed, it makes them well-developed characters. Again, showing that they are not just a generic villain. They are people. They are characters. And that's one of the reasons why I love Avatar, is most of these characters are really well-developed. They aren't just generic cliche characters. They are so well-developed that they feel like real people. And my favorite May and Tylee moment probably comes in the second part of the prison break episode, when they turn on Azula, which was so satisfying to see. I smiled and I cheered. And it works so much better than when Zuko made his decision at the end of Season 2. Because Zuko, there was like no indication that he was going to go bad at the end of Season 2. I mean, the writers said he was conflicted, but it really didn't show. It seemed like he got over his conflict when he was having his fever. But here, it made sense for May and Tylee to turn. I wasn't shocked at all that they turned. I mean, I've always thought to myself, May and Tylee are way too nice to be working for Azula. Like, even Tylee was like, there's no way she's going to follow Azula through all the way to the end. She's way too nice, way too happy. And they didn't need as much of an arc to turn because they are already good people. They just need to realize the side they are fighting for may not be the best side. The person they're working for may not have the best intention, and that she's a bitch and that she just uses them. And that Zuko have a point. And again, it shows that not necessarily everyone's evil. They just may be misled. They're fighting for the side they believe is right. And by having these characters in there, they can show that. Just because you're fighting someone doesn't necessarily mean they're the bad guys. They're just fighting for whoever thinks they're right. And I know I've said that a lot, but it's so true. And I'm really happy for this show for doing that. May and Tylee went from just being these fun little villains to well-developed characters that really help make Avatar an amazing show. And I really hope that whatever the opposing faction is in Legend of Korra, that they continue to flesh out the villains, give them good backstory, not have all the bad guys be evil, have a mix of good and bad, because I love that. So May and Tylee, do you agree with me? Comment and let me know, like, dislike, whatever you want. Oh yeah, I also like how May and Tylee, they get the happy ending, because, they're good guys and they deserve that. So yeah, and Tylee becomes a Kyoshi warrior, which is kind of cool. And May now, okay, actually I probably should mention this. So May and Tylee, they're a little low on the list because they're not as interesting as the other characters, but they're still really strong characters. If they may have just been there for that betrayal, but even if they were just there for that betrayal, it was still awesome to see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say at this point. I'm just going to wrap up because I'm just rambling at this point. Stay tuned for my next video, which is probably going to be next time because I actually got to run. So yeah, this is JStar360 signing out. And man, did I have a lot to say in this one.